let me tell you how the hardest, best thing we've ever done began. When John and I got married and started our family, we fully expected our children to attend public school. In fact, we enrolled Tucker at Fife Elementary for kindergarten and first grade. But halfway through that first grade year, the Lord began to work on both our hearts, gently and steadily leading us in a different direction. For me, there had always been a deep conviction that we were meant to be the primary influence in our children's lives, and that meant spending more time with them than anyone else did. I also felt a strong prompting from the Spirit to live out Deuteronomy 6:6-7. These words I'm giving you today are to be in your heart. Repeat them to your children. Talk about them when you sit in your house and when you walk along the road, when you lie down and when you get up. I couldn't understand how to fully answer that call if my children weren't with me for most of those everyday moments, when we sit, when we walk, when we lie down. In fact, over time, that verse became our homeschool motto, something I returned to year after year when the hard seasons came, and I needed to remember why we started. For John, the decision was just as easy. At the time, we had 2 boys, and his work on the farm allowed them to be alongside him daily, learning and growing into working men. His personality has always leaned towards small group, close-knit, family-centered living rather than large group settings, so homeschooling aligned with who he was and still is. From the beginning, we were united. There was no convincing or no back and forth. We both knew this was the direction we were meant to take. Even so, there was still a letting go of what we had once imagined our lives would look like. There was a time we even grieved it. We had to lay down our expectations and receive the story God was writing instead. Today, we have no doubts about the choices we've made, but in those early days, we wrestled with so many questions. Would they find spouses? Would they build deep friendships without seeing peers every day? Would we regret not prioritizing sports? Would our future daughters miss out on things like cheerleading, prom? And then there was all the worries that laid on me. Would I be capable of teaching them well? Did I have the character? Did I have the patience? And the answer was no, I'll go ahead and tell you. Now, many of those concerns have been eased for homeschoolers. Women in our community have paved the way, creating opportunities for homeschoolers that didn't exist when we started over a decade ago. Back then, you might have known only a handful of homeschooling families. Sports, proms, and social opportunities were limited or non-existent. It felt unfamiliar, it felt overwhelming, and nothing like the life we had envisioned. But if I can encourage you today in anything, it would be this: say yes anyways. Say yes to the things that feel scary and uncertain, but that you know the Lord is calling you towards. Whether it's leaving a job, fostering a child, homeschooling, retiring, selling a home, or starting something new, just trust Him. We can testify to this. In those yeses, you will experience depths of trust and witness His faithfulness in ways you never have before. So let's talk specifically for a moment about homeschooling Tucker. There were many hard days. Most of them, honestly, were brought on by me. I won't sugarcoat that. I didn't always have the patience I needed. I didn't always know what to do academically. We leaned on YouTube tutorials here and there to figure things out together. Other times, I would say, I can't search it, figure it out, I don't know, and he was left to figure it out. Thankfully, not often, but there were those moments. That first year, I structured school exactly like public school, 8 to 3 every day. It was exhausting for both of us. I quickly learned that model wasn't going to work at home. We did everything that year, from Spanish in 2nd grade, art classes, one-man PE classes, you name it. I poured way too much on both of us, and there were a lot of tears because of it, his and mine. I also didn't yet understand what he was capable of academically, or where he needed support. I had helped with public school homework, but this was different. Suddenly, I was responsible for the full picture, and I was learning in real time what he could do and what he could not do. Instead of leading with understanding, I sometimes led with frustration, expecting him to already know things he hadn't been properly taught yet. It was messy, it was confusing, and honestly, a disaster at times, but also strangely beautiful. We were learning together. We were both being stretched. We were both growing in character. And even after that first year, the doubts didn't just disappear. In fact, almost every year after, I would hit a point where I felt completely overwhelmed. Did it this year too. Convinced we had made a mistake, and start seriously praying about a different type of schooling. But each time, the Lord was faithful to bring clarity and peace back in his own way. One moment stands out. A few years ago, I hit that same wall again. I was convinced I needed to enroll them at Cornerstone Christian Academy. I started praying, asking God for wisdom and direction. And almost instantaneously, I sat down, opened my Bible, because if you got questions, you're going to do a flip, and just wherever it lands. It landed on Hebrews 10:36. The first words I read were, "You need to patiently endure, so that when you have done the will of God, you will receive what has been promised." That verse stopped me. It felt like a direct reminder that endurance was part of the assignment, that patience was required for the season I was in. I needed to keep on trucking it and patiently endure the moment. And it also reminded me that he saw it all. He saw the huge mess I had made and was still saying, "Continue." I didn't need everything to feel easy to know I was supposed to keep going. Through this keep going, I witnessed Tucker grow firsthand. I can remember really noticing he was a little Tara in 7th grade, and not in a good way. Not that he was bad, but he definitely had some of my traits that could go great for him if he used them right, or ruin him if he exaggerated them. I remember calling my mom during that time and asking her how she would have parented me if she could do it all over again. What she would repeat, what she would change. I was trying to learn from her wisdom while I was still in the middle of raising him. But by the time he had turned around 15 or 16, we started to see all that hard work pay off. Tucker grew into one of the very best kids I know, and I don't just say that because he's mine. Suddenly, he had thoughts of his own, and they were right on point. He believed in Jesus, and we could see a personal relationship with him. We watched him spend nearly every spare moment wanting to learn more about God. He would go to church when the doors were open and then often head straight to 2 other churches during the week for Bible studies on Mondays and Tuesdays. He carried his Bible everywhere, truly everywhere, still to this day does. I've seen him sitting in a Chick-fil-A drive-through line as he's taking orders. They have a little chair that sits there for when there's not cars, and that Bible open on that chair so he could study between taking orders. I actually have that Bible, and it's completely worn out. It tells a story of all its own, notes, all kind of stuff. In fact, he's getting a new one from graduation from us. At his 16th birthday, his Nana said she had never once seen him angry or heard him raise his voice, not even a little. And she was right. Overall, that's been consistent at home and everywhere else too. Over the years, he has been steady, he has been helpful, and such a blessing to our family. I've said it more times than I can count. I don't know how we got him. He has turned into an incredible young man despite all the mistakes we made. I also want to talk a second about some of the people who walked this journey with us. First, John. He acted as a principal on most days, taking care of what I needed help with. He would have little do what you're told speeches regularly with the kids when he come home from work. He also has always supported me behind the scenes, helping me make little decisions here and there when things were confusing, encouraging me to keep pushing on, and being my full-on counselor most days. Second, Jill Hale and Leanne Underwood. We would meet with both of their families here and there throughout the years. Not only did our kids become friends, but Jill and Leanne became some of my closest friends as well. I truly felt like I could carry all of life's problems to them, and I did most of the time. We laid it all out every time, and I'm incredibly grateful for them. Next, our co-op and everyone connected to it. Mandy, Candace, Faith, Becky, Beth. I could name a host of them. They're like family to us. I cherish all the conversations over the years. It's been nice to talk to adults instead of just kids all the time. It's amazing watching Tucker develop friendships with their children, and it was a blessing watching him grow older and start to teach their younger kids and others at co-op. Thank you for trusting them to him. Lastly, all our extended family, friends, and church. Although I can't call each of your names, throughout the years we have felt so blessed by you. And Tucker will go into more depth with that, but I just want to say, I don't want to steal his thunder and say what he's going to say, but for each of you, the things he says, I agree totally with. To conclude, Tucker, I pray you will always remember who you are, the one who, given the opportunity, chose not to touch social media, the one dedicated to purity, the one whose heart is set on obedience to Christ. Remember to always value character more than achievements. Although we have poured on achievements today, none of that compares to being the honest, kind, Jesus-loving soul you are. As our family transitions from seeing you daily, counting on you to take care of some of the small and big things at our house, counseling you through every little moment, and so on, to stepping back and letting you fly, we do so with pride and a little sadness. This day is bittersweet. However, we trust in our God and who He has created you to be. We know you are ready, and that what we started with homeschooling will forever stick with you as you continue learning long after this. You are worth every long day, every doubt, every moment, and I would choose this journey with you all over again. Go forward confidently knowing we always have your back.